Okay, Ms. House has just enough energy to start chapter 4. The beginning of chapter 4 of Beezus and Ramona. The little sister is impossible. Alright, chapter 4, Ramona and the Apples. Mother, I'm home, Beezus called as she burst into the house one afternoon after school. Mother appeared wearing her hat and coat, carrying a shopping list in her hand. She kissed Beezus. How was school today? She asked. All right, we studied about Christopher Columbus, said Beezus. Did you, dear? Said Mother absent-mindedly. I wonder if you'd mind keeping an eye on Ramona for half an hour or so while I do the marketing. She was up so late last night. I let her have a long nap this afternoon, and I wasn't able to go out until she woke up. All right, I'll look after her, agreed Beezus. I told her she could have 2 marshmallows, said Mother as she left the house. Ramona came out of the kitchen with a marshmallow in each hand. Her nose was covered with white powder. What's Christopher Columbus? She asked. Christopher Columbus? What is Christopher Columbus? She asked. Christopher Columbus? Beezus corrected her. Come on, Ramona. Let me wipe off your nose. No, said Ramona, backing away. I just powdered it. Closing her eyes, Ramona pounded one of the marshmallows against her nose. Powdered sugar flew all over her face. These are my powder puffs, she exclaimed. Beezus started to tell Ramona not to be silly. She'd get all sticky, but then decided it would be useless. Ramona never minded being sticky. Instead, she said, Christopher Columbus is the man who discovered America. He was trying to prove that the world is round. Is it? Ramona sounded puzzled. She beat the other marshmallow against her chin. Why, Ramona, don't you know the world is round? Beezus asked. Ramona shook her head and powdered her forehead with the other marshmallow. Well, the world is round just like an orange, Beezus told her. If you start out and travel in a perfectly straight line, you would come right back where you started from. I would? Ramona looked as if she didn't understand this at all. She also looked as if she didn't care much because she went right on powdering her face with the marshmallows. Oh well, thought Beezus. There's no use trying to explain this to her. She went into the bedroom to change from her school clothes into her play clothes. As usual, she found Ramona's doll, Bendix, lying on her bed, and with a feeling of annoyance, she tossed it out of her room to Ramona's bed. When she had changed her dolls, she went into the kitchen, ate some graham crackers and peanut butter, and helped herself to 2 marshmallows. If Ramona could have 2, it was only fair that she could have 2 also. After eating the marshmallows and licking the powdered sugar from her fingers, Beezus decided that reading about Big Steve would be an easier way to keep Ramona from thinking up some mischief to get into while Mother was away. Come on, Ramona, she said as she went into the living room. I'll read to you. There was no answer. Ramona was not there. That's funny, thought Beezus, and went into the bedroom. The room was empty. I wonder where she could be, said Beezus to herself. She looked in Mother and Father's room. No one was there. Ramona? She called. No answer. Ramona, where are you? Still no answer. Beezus was worried. She did not think Ramona had left the house before. She had not heard any doors open or close. Still, with Ramona, you never knew. Maybe she was hiding. Beezus looked under the beds. No Ramona. She looked in the bedroom closets, the hall closets, the linen closets, even the broom closet. Still, no Ramona. She ran upstairs to the attic and looked behind the trunks. Then she ran downstairs to the basement. "Ramona!" she called anxiously as she peered around at the dim light. The basement was an eerie place with its gray cement walls and the gross white arms of the furnace reaching out in all directions, except for a faint sound from the pilot light. Everything was silent. Suddenly, the furnace lit itself with such a whoosh that Beezus, her heart pounding, turned and ran upstairs. Even though she knew it was only a furnace, she could not help being frightened. The house seemed so empty when no one answered her calls. Uneasily, Beezus sat down in the living room to try to think while she listened to the silence. She must not get panicky. Ramona couldn't be far away, and if she didn't turn up soon, she would telephone the police the way Mother did the time Ramona got lost, because she started out to find the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. Thinking of the rainbow reminded Beezus of her attempt to explain to Ramona that the world is round, like an orange. Ramona hadn't looked as if she understood, but sometimes it was hard to tell about Ramona. Maybe she just understood the part about coming back where she started from. If Ramona set out to walk to the end of the rainbow, she could easily decide to try walking around the world. That was exactly what she must have done. The idea frightened Beezus. How would she ever find Ramona? And what would Mother say when she came home and found Ramona gone? To think of Ramona walking in a straight line, hoping to go straight around the world and come back where she started from, trying to cross busy streets alone, honked at by trunks, barked by strange dogs, tired, hungry. But I can't just sit here, thought Beezus. I've got to do something. I'll run out and look up and down the street. She can't have gone far. At that moment, Beezus heard a noise. She thought it came from the basement, but she was not certain. Tiptoeing to the cold air intake in the hall, she bent over and listened. Sure enough, a noise so faint she could scarcely hear it came up through the furnace pipe. So the house wasn't empty after all. Just wait until she got out. Just got a hold of Ramona. Beezus snapped on the basement light and she ran down the steps. "Ramona, come out," she ordered. "I know you're here." The only answer was chomping sound from a corner of the basement. Beezus ran around the furnace and there, in the dimly lit corner, sat Ramona eating an apple. Beezus was so relieved to see Ramona safe, and at the same time so angry with her for hiding, that she couldn't say anything. She just stood there, filled with exasperating mixed-up feelings that Ramona so often gave her. "Hello," said Ramona, through a bite of apple. "Ramona Gerald Quimby!" exclaimed Ramona when she had found her voice. "What do you think you're doing?" "Playing hide and seek," answered Ramona. "Well, I'm not," snapped Beezus. "It takes two to play hide and seek." "You found me," Ramona pointed out. Once again, Beezus couldn't find any words to think she had worried so, when all the time Ramona was sitting in the basement listening to her call and eating an apple too. As she stood in front of Ramona, Beezus' eyes began to grow accustomed to her dim light, and she realized that what Ramona was doing. She stared, horrified at what she saw, as if hiding were not enough. What would Mother say when she had come home and found what Ramona had been up to this time? Ramona was sitting on the floor beside a box of apples. Lying around her on the cement floor were a number of apples, each with one bite out of it. While Beezus stared, Ramona reached into the box and selected an apple, took one bite out of it, and reddest apart, tossed the rest of the apple onto the floor while she noisily chewed that bite. She reached into the apple box again. "Ramona!" cried Beezus, horrified. "You can't do that." "I can too," said Ramona through her mouthful. And we'll continue there.